Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. Today is going to be a little different. I'm going to do an off the cuff and hopefully I won't talk too fast or ramble too fast or repeat myself too much. But there's a topic that I want to talk about, and that is resonance or resonation. When I came into my path, I headed towards the New Age because of my traits. And one of the things I often heard was material, whether it be written or oral, that it resonated with me. I can't exactly remember how it was described to me initially, but I deduced that when something sounded good or when something made me feel really good emotionally, that the material was in fact resonating with me. Having delved into energy work, I learned a new definition for resonance. It's very difficult to put in the words and it's very difficult to describe, so I'm going to use the descriptive that I believe I put it in my second book, and that is a tuning fork. I'm sure everybody knows what a tuning fork is, especially if you have any inclination towards music or if you've ever learned music. You will know that a tuning fork, they have one for each note. So if you have an A tuning fork and you strike the A key on the piano or on a guitar or saxophone or whatever instrument of your choice, if it is in fact straight on that note, it's going to start humming. And what causes this to do that is a resonance. Now, information does not necessarily contain energy. So it's very hard, energetically speaking, for any information to resonate with one's being. It can make you feel good because it falls in line with your beliefs. It can strike an emotional chord. I'm sure everybody's heard that expression, that it affects you emotionally. And that affect is coming from the emotional centers in your body. So if you are emotionally leaning towards a specific kind of information, take religion for example, a Christian is going to hear that song Amazing Grace and is probably going to burst into tears. This is because that song has been programmed with energetic frequencies of emotion that plays on the emotional receptors within the form. So that song, because of the program, is going to have a resonation with the emotional frequency in the form and is going to cause the body to cry, whether the person has an emotional affinity for the song or not. And I could say this because I was raised Christian, and that song, along with the Lord's Prayer, every time I heard them, I would get emotional. I would get teary-eyed. I would get chills on my entire body because the energy that had been put into the program or the spell on the words resonated with my form, creating the emotional response. Now, as I moved away from my Christian connections, and in the book I'm currently writing, I talk about this a little bit, the Calling All Healers. I talk about this programming-wise, and after I've removed the programs from my body, those two things no longer make me cry. They no longer give me chills. They no longer make me feel good because I've removed the resonant implant of the program from my form. Now, when I got into the New Age, a lot of the information I would often say, I keep what resonates with me and I discard everything else. And that is one thing I still hear from a lot of people. Well, the problem with this is the erroneous perception of what resonance means. And once again, we're going to go back to, does it emotionally resonate with you because you embrace the idea and it's a form of confirmation bias? Or does the material actually strike something deeper than emotions? And the one thing I've shared in all of my work, and this is something that took me years and years and years to begin to understand, and a lot of study, inner study, and when I say inner, I mean going within and trying to study all of my being from its different components to understand this aspect of it. Most things that resonate with me on a deep Soika level, spirit level, if you want to call it that, there is no emotions involved. It's a straight up knowing. It doesn't necessarily put chills on my body, but it's something that starts from my intuitive center and slowly spreads out, and it's a knowing, like I know who I am, like I know the sky is blue, like I know the grass is green. It's that kind of knowing that you just know. You can't explain how you know, but it's a knowing. There's no emotions involved. The reason that I want this delineation to be understood by others is because when I first got onto my path, like I said, I did get pretty deep in the New Age bullshit. And there's a lot of things that I thought I had resonance with, or it resonated with me because it sounded good. It made me feel good. It made me emotional. But underneath that emotion, underneath that feel good, there was no knowing that it was truth, or that it was fact, or that it was anything other than just sound good, feel good. And when Endel and I met, he began telling me some of the bigger picture stories or information that he understood that I'd yet to understand. And a lot of this stuff, if I could be perfectly honest, scared the living crap out of me. It didn't sound good. It didn't make me feel good. It made me want to run screaming in the other direction. But the only reason that I didn't is because when you stripped away the emotions, when you stripped away the feel good, that inner knowing, that resonance with my Soika is what told me it was truth. And even though I could go back over and over and over again and reanalyze this stuff, it has yet to show itself to me as not truth. That's the resonance. And you have to remember, an integral part of our path, we have to question not only our experiences, not that we didn't experience them, but question the interpretation factor of our experience. So when you encounter what you consider a positive resonance, question your interpretation of it. When you encounter a negative emotional reaction to something, you also need to question your interpretation of that negative emotion. Is it, in fact, a hidden Soika resonance being masked by the Hapim reactivity that's left in the body mind? And what people fail to understand about this emotional resonance is that when you hear information or read something that pisses you off, that is in fact creating an emotional resonance with you. So where one thinks that because it makes them mad, it doesn't resonate, it is in fact resonating with your emotional centers, whether it resonates with your mind or with your Soika. And you have to remember, we've all lived all of our lives under the influence of the Hapim virus, who controlled our emotions at every single turn. And as we go through the deconstruction phase of our inner life, our inner world, to rebuild it from a Soika perspective, it's the times that emotional resonation occurs, especially when it's anger. That's when you really need to look deep within to get rid of the emotional resonance to see if there is, in fact, a Soika resonance hiding underneath. Because we are conditioned to embrace positive emotions and run from or discard negative emotions, that negative emotional resonance is more than likely hiding a positive Soika resonance underneath. So when you're looking at information, when you're reading something or listening to somebody, you really have to ask yourself this question: what's resonating with which part of me? Is it resonating with my Soika? Is it resonating with my body mind? Is it resonating with my ears because it feels good? Is it resonating with the filters that I'm wearing? And you really need to seriously consider the answer to that. If you have any questions that you'd like further clarity on, please ask them in the comments. I want to thank all the subscribers and welcome all of our new subscribers. Until next time, I'm Gemma Beall. Stay the course and don't give up on yourself.